My name is Christy Busby, and you are about to listen to the next episode of my podcast called Fate, From Atheism to Enlightenment. So come on in, join me. We're going to talk about it all, from atheism to enlightenment. Alrighty, guys, here we go. Get ready, and welcome to your fate. Welcome, everyone, to the next episode of From Atheism to Enlightenment. How's everybody doing today? On today's episode, I have a wonderful woman here named Nancy Yearout. She has a book called A Guide to Angel Communication and Spiritual Laws. I am very excited to talk about this topic, spiritual laws and angels, today, gang. That's what we're discussing on this show. Nancy Yearout, welcome to your fate, my friend. How you doing today?
I'm great. Thanks for having me, Christy.
Thank you for coming on and speaking to me. I read your book, and it aligned with me on so many different levels. One of the things you say in the book is you talk about how humans in general are more powerful than we think we are. And I say that all the time, that you guys, we are more powerful than we think we are. We need to, step into that and start finding out about what that is about for us. So, I mean, many things aligned with me, but when you were encouraging people to really step into those capabilities that we could rise to, I was like, yes, Nancy,
Well, that's
yes,
awesome. That makes me happy.
yes. Well, why don't we start from how you became a psychic empath, a channeler? You have capabilities. I sometimes call them spidey senses. You have gifts. But let's start from the beginning. And how did your spiritual journey begin?
Yeah, well, it all started when I was a kid. I think I've always been intuitive. I've always been psychic. And, you say things and then the adults look at you with that kind of funny look. And so you kind of don't, move into it too much because you don't want them to recognize what you're doing. But yeah, I've always been intuitive. I've always had that sixth sense, and we all have it. We all have that compass, right there in our solar plex chakra. We know, we have a knowing. And so I kind of let it go for a while. And then as I grew, I was a single mom, actually, is how this started. And I needed to draw business to myself, to be honest with you. And so I had a mentor, and she said, draw it in. And I said, what do you mean draw it in? And she said, you have to draw in the business. You have to, believe it and have faith and say affirmations. So I started doing all these things. And I became Rookie of the Year in New Mexico, in Albuquerque. I learned how to draw business to myself. Then I started to realize how the energy worked. And then I realized what I said made a difference, and that I could manifest. This has been a process. It came out of a sense of need when I was a single mom, but it's grown into a knowing. And then I wanted everyone to know. So I wrote Wake Up, the Universe is Speaking to You. I have that book here. I don't know. I'll show it to you.
Yeah,
and I
show
wrote
it.
this because I wanted everybody to realize that you could change your life by using the energy that's really free and here for us. The universal energy is free. All we have to do is learn how to work with that. So I started to discover the energy of water, the energy of music, the energy of love, all these different things. And then as I did this, I started going on podcasts because I had a new book out. And then I started to realize that people weren't hearing me, people were visual. And so I started a podcast. And then the more I talked to people, then I realized, oh, well, I have to connect to God. I have to connect to spirit. And then I started connecting. And I was married at the time. I started connecting every day. And I started to get messages. And the more I connected, the more with the Mother Earth, the more I connected with God, with spirit, the more psychic I became. Then I realized, I'll try to make this brief. Then I realized it was an empath. And how I realized it was an empath was really not so great, but I am empathic. And the energy of other people affects me greatly. I realized my husband was cheating on me because I could see the outline of the girl with long dark hair sitting next to him when he came home from work. And we sat down on the couch and I could still see her imprint. And I tried to deny my gifts by calling every psychic I knew by saying, I'm not correct, am I? And they're like, yeah, you are, Nancy. You're right on. So my gifts have been a blessing, but they've also been very difficult because I know things. And sometimes I don't want to know, but I've learned, I've grown and I've evolved since that time. That happened back, oh gosh, I wrote my book in 2016. I divorced in 2020. So it's taken me many years to get past that heartbreak,
I
betrayal.
I have to ask, when
Yeah.
you called him on it and said, "Look, I know you're cheating on me, and
Mhm,
she's a dark-headed, brown-headed woman. I've seen her."
mhm.
Did he how did he respond? Did he deny it at first, or did he own it? I'm just curious.
No, he looked shocked. Like you could tell, like, how in the hell do you know this?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, And but then, of course, he denied it, and he was a narcissist. My mother was a narcissist, and so and empaths are attracted to narcissistic people. We want to help everybody. We see the good in everybody, and it took me a long time to realize that I was an empath, and that I was trying to work things out with my mom, with all these different partners that I had in life, and my show really helped me with that, to be honest with you. Interviewing so many different people from all over the world, like you do, you start to realize a lot of things and you learn a lot. But I'll try to make this brief. So, a lot of my guests started to realize I had an angelic vibe, a higher vibration. And I knew it, but it's different when someone else recognizes it. You know what I mean? So then I started to realize I could work with the angels, and I started to work with my own guardian angel, and she stands right next to me. And I have 7 that I work with. And I do have cherubs as well. Um, I have what they call clear cognizance. I have a clear, direct connection with source, with the divine source. And I also have my angel. And so when I do a reading, like I did a reading today, she wanted she wasn't so much about the tarot cards. She wanted my angel to tell her the truth because I had said on a podcast, she had heard me say, my angel's always truthful and honest, brutally honest. I mean, they're not hurtful by any means, but they're straightforward and honest because they're not emotional. They're just giving the information. And so, my angel's very kind. It's nice to know I have someone right here next to me that has got my back. So the book is teaching everyone how to connect to spirit, how to connect to their guardian angel, how to connect to Mother Earth, because it changed my life so much. And I want everyone to know how to connect in a brief sentence there.
No, don't be brief. We wanna hear it all. I mean,
Yeah.
it's so interesting because I am not I don't have any spidey senses, and I'm not an empath or anything that I'm aware of, although I am aspiring
We all have
to
it,
what
Chris.
I'm
We all
aspiring.
have it.
I will say this, that, having my own spiritual awakening and starting to have a podcast where you bring people on and they talk about their gifts, or they talk about the nature of our reality, or there's so many different topics that are broad and really illuminate us to the fact that we are more than we think we are, and we're capable of more than we think we are. And when it comes to manifestation and energy and frequency, which are all the topics that you discuss in the book. But let me ask you, how at what time during the process were you confident to really feel that you were having a conversation, a communication with an angel? Like, how at what point do you have the ability to say, this isn't my voice, this is not from my consciousness. This is from someone else's consciousness.
Yeah. And I teach in the book, and I can teach the audience today if you'd like how to do it. It's very simple. But what happened for me was doing readings for other people. And especially a reading that was, well, I'll just be honest and say it was a woman who had a child who was killed. And she had come to me and she wanted to know what happened. And this is real serious stuff. And when someone comes to you with this kind of a question, it's a big deal. And so I asked my angel beforehand. I usually ask my angel before I even communicate with the person, but I asked her and she was able to tell the woman, and everything she said was what she knew and more. And so that really was a catapult for me because I knew I would have no idea any of these things. The woman needed comfort. That's what she needed, comfort and confirmation. She wanted to know that her daughter didn't suffer. Okay. So, and I bring this serious subject up because these are things that people really need help with. And we all have a guardian angel. And all you have to do is ask. The angels want to be recognized. There are thousands of angels who have nothing going on because we have free will and we have to ask. And so all you have to do is ask. You ask, acknowledge that your angel is next to you, first of all. The next thing to do is you can ask their name. And the way to communicate, they communicate telepathically. So if you say, okay, my angel who is holy and divine, and note that I say holy and divine, what is your name? Then it's the first thing that comes to your head. It's the first thing that pops in your head. You don't have time to think. That's how quick it comes. That's how you know the difference between your angel and your own thoughts because you don't have time to think. Same thing when you connect with spirit, when you connect with God and you say, I bring in the light. I teach my audience on the show how to bring in the light. I teach everybody in the book. Why? Because we're energetic souls having this human experience and we need to connect back to that energy of love. And I want to say something really quickly about relationships because you really do you get this stuff completely. And I think it's awesome, Christy. Well, I want to say that on relationships, I need to bring this up. This is super important. And I talk about it in my book. And there's a reason I brought it up in my book. When I met my husband, like my husband that I divorced in 2020, we were at the same vibration energetically. Okay. So as I wrote the book and as I grew and as I did these podcasts and I'd say, listen to this. And did you hear this? And let me tell you about this. He didn't care at all about any of it. He thought it was woo woo. And I'm growing, 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 evolving, evolving, evolving. And he's like, and he's starting to call me psycho. Okay. So there comes a point where you're not at the same vibration anymore. And there comes a point where, and in my case, I feel like the angels actually, I know they did. They intervened because I wouldn't have left because I'm such an empath.
You couldn't help yourself.
I couldn't help myself. I know. And so they had to do something and infidelity was it for me. And so that's how it worked. And they did that on my behalf. And it's a blessing.
Yes.
And I know it sounds, but I want to talk about that because you go into a relationship, but a lot of times one person grows and the other doesn't. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just how it works out sometimes. So I just want to bring that up real quick.
I mean, it's true. Even with my evolution of trying to step into this new way of thinking and being, you're just in a different space. And everybody has the people in their lives that they do currently because they are at some level aligning with each other energetically. You
Mm.
really do gravitate towards people that you are like attracts like. It is one of the
Exactly.
basic
Yeah.
universal laws. And and I one of the reasons why I'm doing this show is to really give people the idea that all of that could change very quickly if people would just start understanding the nature of our reality, the
Well, Christy, okay, so I'm gonna bring you back to what I
okay.
think and what I've interviewed over 400 and some people now, and they all go back to the same thing. Connecting with God, connecting with spirit. They all go back to the same thing. We've lost our connection. We've lost our connection. And it only takes a minute to bring in light through your crown chakra, through your body, out your arms, down your torso, down your legs, and connect. It takes as long as it takes to brush your teeth to connect back to the divine source, that energy. And it's the love energy. It's 528 hertz. It's love. It's the love vibration. And once you bring it in and start communicating with the divine, I sound like a preacher, don't I? But I can't help it. Then you change, right? You change. Well, I am a minister actually, but you change. Your vibe changes. You become more joyful. And here's what I've learned. And I can tell you have too. You can watch all the craziness go on, but you become an observer. You're not in it anymore. You're
Right.
like, wow, look at that.
That's
Hmm.
That
Yeah.
is exactly right. You're so spot on with me. I absolutely have the capacity now to be not an emotional participant in
Right.
whatever chaos is happening. I control my own emotional boat.
Yep.
I'm not affected.
Yep.
I and it's a gift. It really has been a gift. I feel much more conscious. I feel much more at peace, and I feel much more unshakable, more than I've ever felt. And I've been through a lot with health and divorce and you
Mhm.
name it. We all have
Yeah.
our trauma, in our lives that we have to endure. And one of the other things I always say in this show is a lot of people need to be shaken in order to awaken, like endure some sort of trauma before you
Yes.
can snap yourself into a place where you can open your mind and receive this information. Because
Yeah.
if you're not in a place of receiving the information, you're not going to hear it. It's going to be woo woo. It's going to be psycho. Like it's not going to be something that your ego is going to let enter um
Space.
your space. It's just not, you
Well, it's
know?
spirit, and we all evolve at our own time. So you can't
Yes.
judge. That's the other thing I want to say. You can no judgment. Now I will tell you, it took me a long time to get past and not be angry or hateful and judgmental, but I have reached that point. But and now I look at things completely differently. But you can judge another person because we're all on this journey and we all wake up when it's our time to wake up. You can't, but when you do connect, it does speed up the process.
I agree. I mean, like I said, I don't know if I've ever connected with angels or God or anything, but I'm meditating every morning for at least 20 minutes, sometimes up to an hour and a half. I'm sitting in gratitude. I'm There's so many things about my life that has changed and developed since I started this podcast and talking about energy, frequency, vibration, universal laws. I was an atheist my whole life, and now I absolutely do believe in a creator and the divine. Like, that is something so foreign to me. If you would have said that to me even 5 years ago, I
Well,
would have been like, you're nuts. And here
let's
I
see
am.
what changed you. I'm gonna ask you what changed you.
I For me, had a health crisis and I was dealing with Western medicine and it wasn't helping me. And so I started looking outside of Western medicine, which led me into energy medicine. I
Okay,
started doing plant medicine journeys, like
wonderful.
sitting with ayahuasca and like getting great insight doing that. And it opened my mind to, I started listening to people like Dolores Cannon and Abraham Hicks and Neville Goddard and all different types of,
Positive influences.
yeah,
Yeah.
and listening to other people talk about spirituality and and just ingesting every little thing I could on it. And then I decided I was going to do a podcast and talk about some of the things that I have learned in the hopes of raising the consciousness of
There
everyone
you
else,
go. There
that's
you go.
all you can do, you can just try and bring everybody along for the ride.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, you're
you know,
doing a
s-
great job. Yes, exactly.
I mean, we need more of you in the world, that's for sure. Um, let's talk a little bit about you are a channeler, and one of the angels that you channel on a regular basis is Gabriel. Can you
Mhm.
tell us a little bit about who Gabriel is and how you became to channel this angel?
Gabriel is the messenger angel. He is the messenger of God. And gosh, it's probably been maybe 3 years or so, maybe more that I've channeled him. Um, Again, it was somebody on my show who was also an angel communicator who said to me, and she works with Michael, Archangel Michael a lot, and I do too. And then she's like, Nance, Gabriel really wants to work with you. And I'm like, yeah. And she's like, she showed me how to bring him in. She taught me something I didn't know. We all teach each other. And so I learned how to bring in Gabriel. And when I did, I started to write. And so he says what he wants me to write down. And so he would write messages for humanity. And then I would read them on my podcast. So when I was putting the book together, I had all these letters that he had written to humanity for me to bring forth. And then I realized they were supposed to go into the book for humanity. So I put them in here. And I don't call on him as much as I should lately because I get busy, but he is the messenger angel and he helps. And he just, they all are here to guide us and help us, you know?
I read the messages from Gabriel, and there were a few that were intriguing to me, and I was going to bring them up to you and see
Can,
what you thought.
can.
One of the things that he says is there must be disaster to invoke the necessary connection for humans, and that the believers will be spared. Um, I
Mhm.
thought that was an interesting message for us. Another one was, this is the beginning of unsettled times, a war of all wars to achieve monetary gain with no value to the thousands that will be lost due to greed and power.
Mhm.
That didn't make me feel good about what
Well,
was coming forward.
let me
What do
just,
you
yeah,
what do
let
you
me,
think about those
yeah,
messages? What
yeah. That's not to scare anybody. Well, you can see it.
Yeah, you can.
You can see what's happening. Things have to get worse before they get better. And that's my interpretation of his message. And that's what I feel he meant. And you could see that crime has gotten terrible, that we've had all these different things happen. I don't want to get into politics, but I knew Trump was going to, I knew Trump was going to win because we have to have a change. We had to have somebody come in and take the bull by the horns per se. And so, but things had to get worse before people actually realized and went out and voted and said, no, we don't want that. We want better. We want better. So it's like anything else, and these wars going on, things have to get worse before they get better. And so that's what I believe he's trying to say, and here's the deal. Some people will never go to the light and there's nothing you can do about it. But I do believe that the ones who do, I believe personally that there'll be a split. I don't know how it's going to happen. I don't have all the answers, but I believe there will be a split where the people who have reached a certain vibration will go here and the people who chose not to will go here because we can't, people who have raised their vibration don't resonate with these people anymore. So how is that going to work? So I don't know if it's going to be two earths. I don't know how it's going to go. But that's what I believe that,
I
yeah.
mean, I've heard the same exact thing, that at some point we are in the moving towards a place of ascension currently, and those who are on this enlightenment path, the awakening, moving into, they call it 5D or whatever,
Yes, yes.
and that there is going to be two parallel earths, and the people that are unable to raise their vibration and enough time to ascend will stay in 3D planet Earth that is going to be pretty dense with negative emotions. You're going to have a lot of fear and despair and war and all those lower vibrational frequencies still happening.
Mm,
And then you're going to have another parallel Earth where we're going to be able to come together in a much more peaceful, harmonious, cooperation,
yeah.
loving way, and that there will and that this is the other thing is interesting that I have read is that we won't even be able to see each other or acknowledge each other, or the people on 5D won't be able to look back on 3D folks and be like, "Oh, it's so sad that those people over there are living in such a way." We literally will be in such a, dramatically different vibration mode that we will be
Well,
unnoticeable to each other.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that. I think
I don't
that
know.
we'll be so compassionate because it's just like looking at somebody who's done you wrong. I'm so different now. My vibration is different now. So instead of being angry or hateful or vengeful, I'm compassionate. So that's what's going to be different. We won't, in my mind, that's my opinion on this one.
Yeah.
I think that we won't, uh, we'll just feel bad. We'll not feel bad, but we'll have compassion. We'll have compassion. That's what I think. I don't know, but who knows, right?
I mean, I'm just on my own journey, coasting through life,
I can
trying
look for
to,
Angel and see what she says.
trying to raise the vibrations around here. That's all I'm doing. One of the other things that Gabriel says, which I thought was beautiful and I loved, is he said, "The bonds of love last forever and they cannot be broken even in death." Meaning, in my opinion, it was once you love someone or something, that bond is there for all eternity, which I thought was beautiful.
Yeah. Well, the energy, doesn't dissipate. The energy is always there. So the energy of love, it's, the love you have for a parent or for a child,
Yeah.
that's always there. And you always have that. Yes, that's true.
Let's talk a little bit about the spiritual laws. There's I think 11 spiritual laws that you go through in the book. Could you go through and discuss a few of them?
Right.
And
Here, I'll pull you out for you. I pulled out the ones that I thought were most important at this time. The first one is be true to yourself.
mm,
And, this is something that was said a long time ago. The Greeks said this. Albert Einstein talked about this. William Shakespeare said, "To thine own self be true." And, we were talking about working on ourselves and, you've got to work on yourself. Each person has to take the time and um, go through different things that have happened to you in your life and work through those emotions, and be who you are and not be afraid of what other people think about you. Just be who you are. We are beautiful souls in these bodies, and we should not be intimidated or change who we are for anybody or anything. And when you do show your true authentic self, it does change. And people know that and they can feel the vibration. People know if you're being fake or if you're being authentic. People can pick up on that vibe. So I really talk a lot about that. The second one I put in here is to be truthful and honest. You know, Sometimes it's hard to be honest, and you can be honest with people and not be harsh. You can be honest and be kind. And that kind of goes along with being true to yourself. You have to be honest with people. You can't tell people what they want to hear just so to make them happy. You have to be true to who you are. So those two kind of go hand in hand a little bit. I'm really passionate about this. You can probably tell. But the third one is forgive and let go. When you carry around this, energy of non forgiveness, it just weighs on you. And people don't realize that. You know, the other person probably has forgotten about it and you're still walking around with it on your shoulders. So you don't forgive for the other person, you forgive for yourself. So that energy doesn't weigh you down any longer. And it's the energy of forgiveness, just letting it go and letting it shed and move forward. That's a big one. We're here to learn
yes.
and people hold on. Go ahead. What were you going to say,
The
Chris?
the the other thing I would say, just through my own health crisis and learning about energy in the body and how it works, is if you are holding on to unforgiveness, to something that happened 10 years ago, that energy is being blocking. It's stuck in your body. It can create dis-ease, it can create illness, it can create lack of all kinds of physical symptoms can arise from your emotional well-being or unwell-being. And you really do have to let go of things that maybe somebody did wrong you or betrayed you or anything. If you don't see a way to forgiveness and let that go and release that anger, resentment, whatever you're holding on to, it will show up somewhere in your body if you don't release it. It is in not only your best um light to be that forgiving person and that example of love, but it's also going to be a lot of better for you mentally and physically.
Well, yeah, you're exactly right. You learned a huge thing, and we are energetic souls. And when we go back to the part where we're these energy centers, and we have this negative energy, and yes, you're right, dis-ease sets in. That's why I want everybody to bring in the light because it clears that. It can help clear. It can help bring the awareness that, oh, maybe I should forgive, that type of thing. Anyway, so there's a bunch of them. I can give you a couple more. I'm pulling the book out
Yeah,
here.
yeah, do it.
Let's see what else we have here. I like my spiritual laws, and I spend probably 3 or 4 pages. You reap what you sow, and this is true. People always wonder what happened. What happens? Well, what kind of seeds are you planting? And you talked a little bit about it, Christy, with your words. It's your words, it's your thoughts, it's your feelings that go out into the universe. That energy goes out, and that's what you're planting. So, what kind of seeds are you planting today? Because whatever you're planting is what's going to grow. So be careful what you say. Be careful what you do. And I tell a story in here too about the little red hen because I used to tell my kids, that story. Anyway, so that's in there. I talk about letting the love flow, just sending out more love. I also talk about taking care of Mother Earth
Yes,
because we have forgotten about Mother Earth and she lets us live here.
that's right.
We don't look at it like that. We don't look at it like, this Mother Earth is a living entity full of energy.
Yes, a
And
conscious being. She's conscious.
yes, and
Yes,
she allows us to stay here. She's
yes.
given us permission to be here. And we don't treat her with reverence. And the other thing, and I do talk a lot in the book about connecting with Mother Earth because her energies are healing. Her energies are so healing. The Native Americans, the indigenous people, always wrap their babies if they were ill in the dirt. Have you ever heard about this? Think about this because the earth is healing. And when we walk outside without our shoes on and we stand there, you can feel the energy coming up from the bottom of your feet, and you can feel the energy going into your body. I just think we've lost that connection as well.
Well, I think one of the downfalls of humanity is disconnecting ourselves from nature in general. We thought progress was putting up all these brick structures to separate us from nature. We should be learning to live with nature, within nature, alongside of nature, not
Right.
conquering nature, not destruction, and not allowing the other species on this planet who are sentient species that are conscious to live their lives here as well. It
Well,
really, so glad you brought up the um, Mother Earth spiritual law because I talk quite often on this show about the fact that we are a part of nature. And one of the reasons why you see massive amounts of mental unwellness in this world is because we're so separated from nature now. And we are not doing things like grounding, putting our feet in the earth and getting
right.
those ions into your body that heal you, that balance your energy, that, you know, really can have such a benefit to your overall energetic system because we are all, we're
Yeah.
connected, you
Yeah.
know? We
Yeah.
we are all connected. And
We
oh
need
yeah.
to stand in the dirt, and we need the communication with the animal kingdom. So,
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
I'm right on with you on that one. I mean, we have to change this. We really do,
We
honestly.
we do. We have to start respecting Mother Earth, or she is going to have her way with us. Either way you slice it, there's just no doubt. Um, let's talk a little bit about manifestation and
Okay.
how it works.
Okay.
and what are the elements that you really need if you are trying to manifest something in your life, whether it be a new job, love, health. What would you advise somebody to do?
Okay. What I do, I put out affirmations daily, and my affirmations change. I learned about affirmations when I was in the real estate industry and I had to make money. And I would say, I saw houses like crazy. And I'd say, money comes to me immediately and constantly, and I accept the abundance. And I'd say, I'm healthy, wealthy, and wise, and I have sparkling blue eyes. And I would say all these different, and I'd make them rhyme, and I'd say all these different affirmations, and I sold a ton of houses. So when I want something, I go back to my basic. I'm like, oh yeah, I remember what I'm supposed to do because I forget to sometimes. And then I go back to my manifestations and I write down, and there is an energy in writing them. First of all, let me say, it's important that you write them because you're putting the ink, you're making it stick. And then it's also important that you say them out loud and that you mean it, that you mean what you're saying. Um, Money flows to me constantly. Or when I say, this lady taught me, she was in Australia. She taught me every day in every way, I'm getting better and better. Every day in every way, I'm getting better and better. And I say that a lot. And so it just depends on what you're looking for, but remember when you're manifesting, if you want a new car, don't get too, you be specific, say, and see yourself in the car. Okay. So let's just give an example. So let's say you want a new car. So what color is your car? What's the make and model of your car? Can you see yourself in the car? Don't see somebody else in the car. See yourself in the car. See yourself driving the car. Feel like what it feels like. You got to know what it feels like to be in the car, driving. Then you put that out there. Okay, I want this car. I want this color. This is what it feels like, and let it go. And then let the universe, don't tell the universe when you want it, how you want it. I mean, you got to be specific on what you want, but let the universe bring it to you in the way that it's going to come. That's really how I've learned to manifest. Putting it out there and letting it go, but being specific about what I want. Because if you're not specific, it's like when I ask my angel a question. I am very specific when I ask her a question. I'm not, I learned this. First, I was off the cuff, and then I was like, oh, I better be specific. So it's like anything else. You have to be specific what you want.
I have one that I say every day.
Okay.
I say, universe, show me how good it gets to be. By the power of the earth, the sky, the sea,
Oh,
bring abundance here to me.
I love that. I love it.
I do rhyming ones, yes.
That's fantastic. That's beautiful. It's a beautiful one too. I love it. I love it. There are books on affirmations, and you can make them up. And the big thing is have faith. Faith was something, and faith is something we all struggle with. But
Yeah.
once you have faith, I've been in a lot of different positions in my life, and I learned to have faith. It's not an easy thing, but once you have faith and then the universe, spirit delivers, it's just magical. And then your faith is heightened. And then you go along for a while and then you have to have faith about something else. And so it's a continuous thing is what I've learned. I don't know.
How does your ability to communicate with angels and be a psychic empath and a channeler, um are you also involved in organized religion, or are you more spiritual, or do you feel like they have a good overlap or they align, or how's your overall religious um background?
I
Do
grew
you
up in
have
the,
a
yeah, I'll tell you, I grew up in the Church of Christ. My father taught, yeah,
shut up? I
yeah,
grew up in the Church of
yeah,
Christ.
I grew up in the Church of Christ. My father taught Sunday school and I was in the choir.
Oh
And
my
we
god.
went to church and I hated it. And I hated it. I hated it. I hated it. I learned nothing. I was told how to dress, how to sit, and that was it. And I've try to attend different churches over the years, and I don't want to, I am a minister, but I have my own deal, okay?
Yeah.
Because I don't really agree with organized religion. Why? Because they don't talk to you up. Not all. Okay, not all. I was never taught about the Holy Spirit, how to bring it into my body, and how to work with the Holy Spirit. I learned that on my own after all the years of going to church. I didn't know a lot of things, and I learned it through spirituality. I didn't learn it in the church. I learned it from other people who were seekers like I was. And so that's how I've learned. And the only reason I went ahead and got my minister license is because I wanted to do readings and I wanted to have some type of um confidentiality, that I wouldn't have to divulge any information that anybody ever gave me. And that's why I did that. So there was a reason behind it. But I am a spiritual person. I work with God. I work for God. I am one of God's messengers. I am here to help humanity. And I am who I am. That's it.
You're a light seeker.
Yeah, I'm a light
Yeah.
worker. I'm a
A
little
light
earth
worker.
angel.
That's
I'm a
what
little
it's
earth
called.
angel.
A
Yeah, you
light
can call me an
worker.
earth angel if you want.
Well, you do say in the book, oh, and by the way, same sort of, I am not,
You feel that way too?
I do. I don't feel like organized religion is here to help us ascend to be who we are supposed to be. I feel like it is here to control us, to
Right.
put fear into us,
Sure.
and to, it's just another level of separation because, if you're Christian or you're Jewish or you're a Muslim, it's all a barrier between the ever so clear connectiveness that we truly are, regardless of what label you want to put on your little, you
That's
know,
right. That's right.
and I just think it separates us. And I think it separates us from who we truly are because in organized religion, you go through, whether it be a priest or a pastor or an elder or imam or whoever, you have somebody that you need. It's very hierarchical, which I do not love. And I don't believe you need to go through somebody else to get to God. The God is within, God is with you. You don't need anyone else to have a relationship with God. And it's certainly not about hell, fire, brimstone, judgment, and hell. It's
Yeah.
not.
It's a control thing. It's been a
It's
control thing. That's what I feel. It's been a control thing. And that's why I do what I do. Same reason that probably you do it. I just really want people to get it and to realize that, you can connect and you can get your
yes,
own answers and you can have your own relationship with the
yes,
divine. So,
yes.
uh,
I 100% agree. And I think that the more people that understand that concept, that you really do have a lot more power than you think you do, it
yeah.
really could change people's lives. People really do feel powerless. They don't feel like they have any control of their destiny. They don't understand how we are truly energetic beings, that you really, quantum mechanics is starting to get into, quantum science is starting to get into the realities of what we truly are.
Mhm.
um
It's
but
coming
that
together. It's
it's
coming
coming.
together.
It is.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
starting to like bubble up where mainstream science is really starting to fail us in so many different ways,
Mhm.
that there's much more. I think also there's a lot of people out there that are awakening at this time anyways. I feel like especially with COVID and the world shut down and people started looking at each other and going, okay, is this it or
Well,
what
yeah,
else is there?
I always say that too. I think COVID was a blessing in
Yeah,
disguise because
yeah,
people had to stay home and figure it out and like, where do I want to go from here? And
yeah,
everybody had to stop.
yep,
It was like, stop. What are we doing?
yep.
It was kind of, I mean, a lot of people perished, unfortunately, and God bless. But then there were a lot of us who just, woke up, which is nice.
Totally. I mean, I think it was probably the beginning of many, many things to come. The
Yeah, too many to
consequences.
learn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really is. It was I think the beginning of the many changes that we're going to see coming forth is was I think the COVID deal. I do think that we're in the process of ascension. I think we're in the process of finding out about who we are. And I also believe we're going to start understanding the universe, the galaxy, and our interdimensional ways. We are interdimensional beings, which is going next level woo woo here, but we really are,
We are. Yeah.
you know. What
Um,
would you say, I ask a lot of people that come on my show this, what in your opinion is the nature of reality, and what are we doing here? And from what you understand from
oh,
your
why are we here?
channeling, yeah,
No,
what
we're in school, Christy.
we're in school.
We're in
Yeah.
school. This is school. This is Earth School. And this is where we are put to learn and evolve. And I believe the goal is if you make it through this step, and as you make it through each step, and as you can, and then you start to learn to connect to God. And the whole idea is that we go back to God.
Yeah.
We're all the collective. We all came from the creator, source, spirit, whatever you want to say. Okay. It doesn't matter what verbiage. We all came from the creator, but we all wanted to be individual and experience. So we're down here to learn, experience, and grow. Well, I'll tell you what, I've grown a lot and I've got a lot more growing to go. But I'm growing back so I can grow back and go back to God. And I'm in Earth School. And that's when you can't take yourself so seriously. You can't take how you look so seriously because we're just these souls in these bodies in Earth School and we're just learning. And, that's why, and people take this way serious. How can I say this without being, I don't want to sound like I'm being, off the cuff or anything, but we are just energetic souls and we leave these bodies here. We're not going to take them with us. And we're not going to take all the stuff that we have with us, you know? So
Yes.
what we're going to take with us is like what you were speaking about in the very beginning of the show when you talked about love. We'll take the love with us. We'll take the experience with us. We'll take, the memories with us. We'll take our higher energy. We'll go back knowing more than we did before. Does that
Yes.
make sense? Yeah,
A
that's it.
hundred. I mean, I'm we are like-minded, my friend. I From what I am walking through and learning is that this is very much a soul school where you come down in this little meat bag avatar and you are here to achieve certain things, and that you're here to learn and grow and expand and be more compassionate
Mhm.
and empathetic, and that it all comes back to love. That is what it all comes back to. We
Yes.
are love.
Yeah.
And, God lives within, and we are all divine sparks of of God, you
Yes.
know?
Yes.
And it's completely changed my perspective about walking around in 3D land. It really, really has. It's been, I mean, I'm still walking in it and learning and stuff, but I have changed on so many different levels, even in the last couple of years. And
Exactly.
and I don't believe that there's a hell I don't think there's the judgment and the hell that organized religion gives you. I think that you're going to get a life review, or you're going to be asked about love or why you didn't love or how you think you could have done things better while you were here, but I don't think they're going to send you down into a pit and light you on fire.
I think that, yeah, I don't either. I think hell is going to be more of a mental, you dealing with the things, the repercussions of your choices here on earth.
Yeah.
That's what I believe. I
Yeah.
believe it. Yeah.
From what I
Mm.
understand, you're going to feel how you made somebody else feel,
Right.
basically, with
That's,
whatever.
yeah.
Yeah.
I've heard that too.
Yep.
I've
Yep.
heard that too.
Which
We'll see. We'll
goes,
see.
yeah, it goes back to you reap what you sow, doesn't it?
There you go, Christy.
Nice little round back to that one. Um, well, do you offer, can people reach out to a website or something if they want to
Yeah.
get a reading from you or get some
Absolutely. Yeah,
how
absolutely. So there's nancyyearout.com or there's psychic upliftforhumanity.com, and you guys can get a reading. I'll connect everybody with their guardian angel during their reading. So that's a little bonus that I do. And I do energy healings as well. I have very strong energy. And so I'll do that. And yeah, I do my podcast, High Road to Humanity. And I have a YouTube channel, High Road to Humanity. And you can watch my shows and listen to my interviews. And if you want a psychic reading, for sure. Yeah. I love helping people. It's fun for me. I really enjoy it.
I love that you have a podcast that is not like mine because I don't have any spidey senses, but that it is out there doing very a similar thing, letting people know that they're more capable. There's more going on in our 3D world than what they think.
Yes.
And
Yes.
there's
Bringing the
there's
information to the public. I think
yes.
that was my biggest thing is like, there's all these cool people, like people who are Reiki masters and people who, have had near death experiences and all these different interesting people. I've had scientists, PhDs. So, just like you. And you just bring their story forward so that and then people can form their own opinion.
So true. I mean, I will be the last to say that I know for a fact or I know what's going on or my way's the best way, but I do present like really interesting guests that have a perspective and then you leave it up to the audience to make their own
Right.
choice or judgment or thought upon it, but putting the information out there, I love that you're on that same journey because I think there needs to be more people just screaming it from the hills like, hey, y'all, there is more going on out there than you think. Get on the train. It is feeling good over here. Come with me, man. Come with me. Um, so, how can people pick up your book? What's the best way to pick up a guide to angel communication and spiritual laws?
Yeah, you'll find it at Amazon.com, Barnes and Noble, and you can go to my website too, you guys. And it's not a long book, but it's very powerful. A lot of good information. And thanks for reading it. I appreciate that, Kristen.
Of course. I mean, like I said, I aligned with so many things on your story and how you felt about, manifestation and energy and frequency and vibration. And I'm really hoping that my spidey senses like turn on, sometime. I'm going to keep trying to like get into a still space and maybe it'll open up for me. Who knows? I hear we all have some capabilities. I just haven't found mine yet.
You will find yours. And you know what? I'm just going to mention, if it's okay,
Yeah.
try, take a few minutes in the morning and just visualize the light coming in down through the top of your head, through your body, like I was talking about before, and bring in the light and see if it makes a difference. I bet it will. And see if it helps.
I will. I will do
Okay.
that in the
All right.
morning. I mean, I'm open to it. I'm
Well,
absolutely open to it.
awesome. Awesome. God bless. Thank you for having me on the show, by the way.
Thank you, Nancy. And on that, guys, we're going to go ahead and leave it there. I would like to thank Nancy Yearout for coming on the show. I will put her book link, her website, her podcast, all the things in the show notes. If you want to reach out to Nancy for any kind of reading, help connecting to your spirit guides, or if you just want to check out her show. And we will see you next week on From Atheism to Enlightenment. I want to thank you all for journeying with me, and we'll see you next week, guys. And that is a wrap on this episode of From Atheism to Enlightenment. I hope you enjoyed the show. I did. Nancy and I ended up having a conversation after we wrapped the show, and turns out we are not only from the same church, Church of Christ, we also grew up in Michigan. Our high schools like used to play each other in football and sports and all that. So we had a lot more in common than I had thought. So it was great to talk to her. We aligned on a lot. In her book, A Guide to Angel Communication and Spiritual Laws, much of what she was discussing are things that I have been learning along the way as I journey through this enlightening process. And the fact that she says in the book the same thing that I always say is that I think we are more powerful than we think we are. And I think we should start tapping into that or learning how to work with energy and vibration and work with the universal laws within we're all swimming. You should, the universal laws of attraction is probably the most important law to learn, which is based upon the premise that like attracts like in this world. And if you go with the theory that we're all energy, frequency, vibration, and that you are going to align with whatever frequency you're vibrating at, you're going to align with that in your reality. It's going to match up. If you keep that premise in mind and practice it and read, listen, and watch things about the universal law of attraction. There's all types of information out there about how it works. It's such a life hack for me. I live in such greater control. I should say faith, and that's a hard word for me to say. Faith. I have a lot more faith that things are going to be okay for me, even in my darkest times. Do I have bad days? Sure. Do I cry sometimes? Sure. But then I dust myself off, straighten my crown, and I realign with gratitude, with joy, with finding something to be happy and grateful for so I can bring that into my reality. And life's not perfect. Like, I'm in the movie industry. We were on strike all year last year, and this year the movie industry decided to go to any other place than America. So there's not a lot of filming going on right now. And so I'm in the midst of, I could be in sheer panic mode, which that's an option. I don't know when I'm going to work again. I haven't worked since July. Doing okay right now. I have a little money in the bank. Can't last forever. Everyone's got to work. But I'm not living in a place of fear. I'm really not. I'm coming from a place of, if I say it, think it, feel it, it will happen. So in my world, I'm not living in fear. I'm not. I know the universe is going to take care of me. I have faith that it will come through, that the law works, that I am not alone, that I do have angels, that I do have guides, that I do have the capacity to not control, but certainly guide where my life will go based on how I'm feeling. And there are some other friends that I have in my life that are going through the same exact thing that I'm going through, and they are downright panicking, emotionally distressed, besides themselves. And I do kind of start talking to my friends about this, like, you should be doing this, and I'm getting some of my friends on board with doing some of this stuff, and it's helping them. And I'm getting like the most weird um opportunities. Like in the podcast I mentioned the affirmation that I say every morning, and I say it 3 times, and then I say, so mote it be. And the weirdest opportunities so far lately that I've had that paid me money was I got an opportunity to go talk to Cornell students about film and television, about what I do for a living. And it happened out of the blue. And it wasn't a ton of money, but it was an opportunity that I don't know how it came on my plate. It was through a weird text from a person that I worked with 3 years ago. So it was just odd circumstances. And I thought, that's a weird thing to come across my plate. But I find myself saying yes to everything and no to nothing. And I am walking in new directions that I would not otherwise walk in, just because I feel I come from a perspective now that I'm eh, I am almost looking at life as a little bit more of a game that I can participate in rather than something that happens to me. If I've lived a lot of my life um, with this unconscious life just happens to me mentality. And I think if you switch gears and you become an active participant in your life and really think about what you're saying, what you're thinking, what you're feeling, using visualization, using affirmations, and it's not going to happen overnight. It Whatever is happening in your reality as we speak is a result of whatever you have been vibrating at for as long as you have been here. That is what it is. It's no more, no less. It is a result of what you've been thinking, feeling, and saying for however many months you've been doing that. That is your current state. If you want to change that state, maybe you don't. Maybe you're living your best life. But if you want better things to be coming your way, the first thing you need to do is start paying attention to what you're thinking, what you're feeling, and what you are speaking, what you are believing. What is your belief system? Because that is what you're pulling into your reality. That's what is happening. And I think it's an amazing life hack. It allows me to have tools that I didn't have before. And it's completely changed my perspective about walking around in this 3D hologram energetic thingy that we're doing. And it's also made me become much less mainstream. I'm so much less worried about what's happening in mainstream. It doesn't really matter that much. It does. I have a little toe in mainstream world, but I'm coming from a completely different perspective these days. Um, and on that note, I hope you guys are enjoying the shows that I'm putting out here and the people that I'm talking to. I'm having a good time. I'm hoping people are learning and listening and starting to step into their own new way of being. And I really highly recommend Nancy's book, A Guide to Angel Communication and Spiritual Laws. Pick up her book, check it out. The revelations from Gabriel and the messages, they're kind of interesting. One of the other things that Gabriel says to her is the Ukraine-Russia war is a mere ruse, that we should not believe what we are told, that it's just a game that we're not aware of. I thought that was interesting that Gabriel said. And another thing that Gabriel says in the book is there are ways to thin out Earth's population. Do not be fooled by what you are being shown and told. I didn't even know exactly what that meant, but that was an interesting statement by an archangel. Anyways, she channels Archangel Gabriel. It's pretty interesting. All of quite a few of his um, notes dictated by Nancy are in the book, and they're pretty interesting to read. Um, with that, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and leave it there. Reach out to me on Instagram. I'm at F.A.T.E. podcast. Follow me, follow the show. If you like what I'm doing here, if you think I got something to say, do me a favor. Tell a friend, subscribe to the show, support the show, follow me on Instagram. And other than that, we will see you next week on Fate, from atheism to enlightenment. And I'm your host, Christy Busby. Journey well, everyone, and welcome to your fate. Bye.